I'm ready to tell you my secret now.
Okay.
I see the Hoosiers at 6-0.
In your dreams? While you're awake?
The Hoosiers are 5-0. What is happening in Bloomington? And my dad was 11 years old the last time the Hoosiers have done what they've done right now. I know many people are going to say, not time to celebrate, but we're going to talk about it on this episode. And Mike Woodson has to get a recruit coming in these next few weeks. He has got to shore up one more recruit. I am sure it is paramount, not only for him, for his job, for the team moving forward. We'll talk about all that and more on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Buckle up, Buttercup.
Quadrant 3 on the way.
Hello, guys, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. It is a glorious day. The Hoosiers are 5-0. We're going to talk about, in this episode, Curt Cignetti. How has he made this happen? And how has he been the architect of this team? And we'll talk about that because I was really analyzing it during the game. And I think I got some really good points. And putting my brain to use, which normally, if you ask my wife, that will hurt myself if I use my brain too much. So we're going to talk about Curt Cignetti, what he's done with this team, and we're going to talk about Mike Woodson and why he has got to get one of these recruits to come in, whether it's Eric Reeby, the big German, or Braylon Mullins. Mike Woodson, he's had 4 of these recruits on campus, and you really look at it with the crunch time we're in right now, because don't look now. We're like less than 3 weeks away from Hoosier Hysteria and October 27th. It's hard to believe Tuesday is October 1st. So thank you for joining me on this Monday episode of Indiana Sports Connection. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button down below. It's Indiana Sports Connection. It's electric. So subscribe to the channel. This will get this out to more Hoosier fans. Hit that thumbs up button. That'll get it out to more Hoosier fans across the world, across the globe. If you're here because you're a bandwagon Hoosier football fan, thank you for joining me on Indiana Sports Connection, where the most passionate fans come to talk about the game. Now, without further ado, you've subscribed, you hit the thumbs up button, you shared the video. Let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. All right, so Maryland game, let's get right into it. The good, bad, and the ugly, because from the beginning is a wet game. We talked about that last week. You knew it was going to be that hurricane was blowing up from the south, so it was going to be a little bit soggy. And the Hoosiers came out, and they looked a little bit soggy. Rourke, on one of those, there were only 2 guys rushing on one of those plays, and he just really just kind of let it fly. That's tough. You got 9 guys back in coverage. He just got to think more out there and be like, look, throw it away. They got 9 guys in coverage. Just throw it away. You could see early in the game, it seemed like the wet ball was kind of just really affecting some of his throws. It just didn't look like he was getting a good throw on some of those early on. What the Hoosiers learned, they had some of the turnovers early, but the defense stepped up every single time there was an answer to be made. Every single time there was something that had to be done, Indiana showed up and made a big play. All right, real quick, before we get into talking about all the position groups and how Curt Cignetti really put this together, let's just take a look at what he said in the press conference, few of his words. Absolutely love this coach. I know I'm in the honeymoon period right now, but it's like everything he's saying, he's pushing the right buttons. So Hillbilly Monkey, what did you think of the game?
Well, there's nothing not to like about this guy. He says all the right things. He does all the right things. He's a process-based thinker, and the way he's getting these guys to buy into Indiana football is absolutely amazing.
That's damn right. It is absolutely amazing.
Here's the clip.
Okay, good win. Far from perfect, trust me. 4-0 in the turnover ratio against us, had not turned it over going into the game one time and still won by 2 scores. But defense really responded to every one of those turnovers. There's a lot of corrections to make, but it was a good effort, a gutty effort. You could feel the fans out there. I'm glad that they, keep improving in the attendance area. I thought that was a good turnout. And, good's the enemy of great. So let's have a great turnout. Let's sell it out. Let's sell it out next week, or next time we're at home, and figure out how to make it even louder. Because that's what we want to do. We want to be the best in everything we do, right? So we should, even when we're good, even when we perform good, we're not satisfied, okay? But it was a good turnout.
So Cignetti, after the game, it was just classic Cignetti. I mean, he never is going to give you that full-on praise, but the team played gritty. They played fast. They played intense. He, on X, he messaged out the entire student body this message, which is pretty freaking amazing. And then after the game, also, I'll just paraphrase some of this. What the message they sent to the fans before the game: big football game Saturday against a good Maryland team. We need to stay focused, keep the momentum going. We're changing the culture of IU football, and you're going to be a big part of it. Come early, get loud, stay with us to the end, and the tailgates can wait. The parties can wait, and even your studies can wait, is what he said in this. And then Hillbilly Monkey, we got a clip of the team.
All right, where's Surratt? Defense, who should be up here? Steve Joe. A one, two. You know what to do. Indiana.
How has Cignetti changed this team so drastically in 1 year? And the more I was looking at this, the way he architected this entire thing as a football coach is going to be, people are going to copy this. This is going to be a cut, copy, and paste type thing. He got these guys from JMU, 13 guys. And the more I started looking across the board, what he did, he realizes where leadership is most important in every group on the football field, not only when it comes to his coaches, because he brought in his own staff, but the players have to convince everybody. The buy-in has to be there. And so what did he do? Practically in every group, you can see what he did. Kamara and West. Kamara played at JMU. You can tell he's just a big leader, number 6 on the defensive line. Pons in the secondary is making absolutely spectacular plays, and he came over. And Aiden Fisher that came over from JMU as well, and the linebacker crew. So he's got the 3 levels of the defense. He's got leadership from his old school at all those positions. That's how he put this together. And then of the wide receivers, this guy Surratt is playing out of his mind, comes over from JMU. How he put this together is absolutely amazing. And you're going to see more schools do this, because what's the difference between, so at Indiana, many players that might play in the MAC or different schools, they might be able to play at Indiana, but they'll get more playing time if they're at a school like that. So what's the difference between, some of your high level players that play in some of these off conferences and your low level players in the Big Ten are about equal? Perhaps they're getting closer and closer. So how Cignetti put this together is absolutely amazing. And then let's talk about the big part of the game I want to talk about is when Indiana turned the screws on Maryland, when I really thought they're going to put this together and they're going to win. And when it happened in this game was with 7:20 left in the third quarter. So at that time in the game, Indiana had the 3 picks early. Indiana had a long drive. They go down the field. They score. Ellison scores on a long run. And then Maryland came back out and just on I believe the second play of that drive, Maryland, and there was a busted coverage on this play. Let me show the highlight as well because the coverage was busted, but the referee got in the way. I believe it was Pons coming over to try to make the tackle. So, I mean, a lot of teams, a lot of old Indiana teams would just absolutely be deflated by that. It's like we just had a long drive, went down and scored. They just come out, boom, boom, go right down and score. But what did Indiana do? With 7:20 left in the third quarter, they ran the clock all the way out in the rest of the third quarter. Held on the ball for 7 minutes, keeping their defense fresh. And you know I am a huge time of possession guy. But keeping the defense fresh was huge in that situation because then going into the fourth quarter, the defense played much better. That was a huge turning point in this game. And Curtis Rourke, in a time when the pressure was going to be on him the most, coming out. And yeah, Maryland's defense was probably gassed at that point. So we really needed to. But he made a few throws on that drive. A third down throw to Surratt, I believe, and then a few of the other throws just to keep that drive alive. Indiana ran the ball right down their throat in different parts of that game and kept fresh legs on the field. They are grinding good teams down. Maryland is a good team, not a great team. Well, we've seen what they've done to UCLA and Maryland. This Maryland game wouldn't even have been nearly as close if they wouldn't have had the adversity they had early. But I'm glad Rourke was able to make some mistakes and able to rebound from those and then come back in this game. It was absolutely amazing. Yes, I mean, the Hoosiers getting it done like this, 5-0. I mean, I'll tell you, my dad, well, if you're doing the math, my dad was born in 56. So what he's done here, bringing in, it's fantastic. And so we're just going to have to wait till next week. We'll talk about more of their games coming up this next week. But let's talk now about Mike Woodson and what he has to do, not with this team, but I believe it is so critical that we get another recruit. I mean, I know we got Trent Sicily. Somebody tell me how to say the last name. Is it Sisley? Somebody told me I butchered the last name in a comment. So I don't know if I'm saying it wrong or not. We got him coming in. I just would love to see them get one more recruit. Mullins or Reeb. Mikkel Brown is another one. And he is a 5-star player in the 2025. So Reeb, Mikkel Brown, or Mullins. I would just love to see Mullins commit to the Hoosiers and have 2 more. We think we have all this time, but we remember last year, in January and February, that's when we realized we have no recruits coming into this team, and we were just completely terrible. So I don't think this team's going to be completely terrible, but we're going to have a mass exodus of players. It would be nice to bring in with Cups a couple of other guards that would be freshmen next year with Cups, either Mikkel Brown or Mullins, and just to shore up, just to have, just the continuity has to be there. I believe you always got to have, just like Cignetti did with the football team, where he brought in his guys that had already bought into his system. And I'm not even sure Mike Woodson really has a system. I think he just rolled, hey, go dribble, I mean, I know he has some systems on defense and all those things, but on offense, I mean, we don't see a pinpoint accurate game plan out of Mike Woodson. We just don't. I mean, that's just all there is to it. NBA coaches, they don't do that. They don't do what college basketball coaches do. And we've talked extensively on this channel about that. And we will continue to probably talk extensively about that until Mike Woodson's not the coach here anymore. This is just part of it. I think it's going to be really paramount that this happens. I do have a clip of the first day of practice, and I'm just going to say Malik Renew, some things you should just keep inside your own head. And dancing like this on the first day when you're walking out, I'm sorry, I would just keep that to myself. You don't want anybody to see you doing that. You know what I'm saying? So if you had this great record, then you could do whatever you want, but you don't. So Renew, he gets so overly emotional when he plays, when he does this, when he does that, when he does anything, and he can just drive me nuts. But Hillbilly Monkey, do we have that clip of the Hoosiers on the first day of practice?
That's what it's about.
So there you have it. I mean, the teams have been practicing together. Now it's just the first official practice and all that type of thing. So it's good to see that is getting going because, yeah, just look, it's like really a month away and we're going to be cruising into basketball season and watching a lot of games. Sports season just gets ramped up this time of year. And now that we have Hoosier football to watch, if you are here to watch videos about the Colts, I will be making a standalone video about the Colts tomorrow. And I just wanted to make a video separate because there was just too much to talk about in that Colts game. Got a big game coming up against Northwestern on the road, but Northwestern's playing in that soccer stadium. So we'll talk about that this week, what the weather will be like there, but it's not going to be like a raucous crowd on the road. There will be a lot of Indiana fans there. There are a ton of Hoosier graduates that live in Chicago. I know that from every time I go there wearing an IU hat, I always get a ton of high fives. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Even the Indiana bandwagon fans, welcome in. Welcome into our team. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, stay classy out there, Colts and Hoosier fans.